Aloha headsets, Frank here, and VR has been a wonderful stage for an update of classic games. It's finally put them in a suitable home. That being said, Vanguard 5's new title Proton Pulse has me feeling like I'm sucked into a trippy round of Brick Breaker. I showed you the trailer in my last weekly update, but the time has finally come and Proton Pulse is upon us. I really didn't know too much about this game before purchasing, but after spending a little time with it, I think I know why. I wasn't the biggest fan, but it's not a bad game by any means. Though, as always, don't just listen to my words, take a look for yourself. Story. Again, a game with very little story. There was a still with some dialogue about the future and all that, but I just skipped it. Although this is an arcade-style game, that really wouldn't benefit if it had more of one to begin with. Visuals. The visuals kind of hurt me. They're fine, not too crisp, but just too busy. Not that I was surprised, I knew what to expect going into this, I just didn't think it would affect me as much. All the flashing lights and bright colors just kind of made me dizzy and a little anxious. But I can barely stand a nightclub. Audio. The audio kind of got to me as well. Mind you, I didn't make it that far into the game, but what I heard was just repetitive techno beats. They basically keep looping the same audio until you finish a stage. Gameplay. If the game shines anywhere, it's with the gameplay. Like I said before, it is basically Brick Breaker, and you have the option to use your face, one move controller, or both as the paddle or paddles. The round starts with a bunch of floating shapes you must smash your ball into and destroy. There are lasers, lightning, extra balls, and more power-ups hidden in the shapes to help you complete each level. And at the end of each world is a pretty cool boss level. I only got through World 1, so I'm not really sure how far it all goes. Everything is pretty responsive and the tracking worked well. When I would hit the ball, I had a general idea of where it would end up, and it was usually close to there. I didn't like the spin mechanic though. It seemed a little off and it threw me off when it worked. But I'm sure that's something they can patch in later. You need a fair bit of space to play this game, especially if you only want to use the paddles, which they don't really make any mention of. On some stages, it's almost impossible to hit the ball with your paddles because of how wide the play area is. Controls are extremely simple. If you choose to use your headset, all you have to do is look around. With the move controllers, you either hold down the T button to use them, or you can click the move button to keep them up constantly. But like I said before, unless you have a fair amount of space to play, using a headset is definitely the way to go. Motion sickness. I'm not so sure you're going to feel too much motion sickness from this title, because the backgrounds never move, but I would never suggest an epileptic to play this one. They would die. Although I didn't feel any motion sickness, all the flashing lights and repetitive techno tracks basically drove my brain a little crazy. Drift. I didn't play for too long, but while I was playing I didn't experience any issues, although there is so much going on, even if it did happen, you might not even notice. Value. It was only $10, and although I probably won't be playing again, that doesn't mean it's not worth it. The gameplay is solid, and for all I know, you may love the colors and music. I barely passed the first world, but if you love Brick Breaker and you don't mind flashing lights, then this might be a solid choice for you. Verdict. It's a good game, simple premise. I just wish the colors would have been toned down a little. They're just too bright, and maybe a little less repetitive soundtrack. Sometimes you get stuck for 5 minutes with only one floating block left, and after the music loops for the 20th time, it really starts to get to you a bit. It reminded me a lot of Danger Ball, except not as much fun for some reason. I don't know if I just got frustrated trying to get that last block, or the atmosphere just wasn't my cup of tea. Either way, the choice is yours. Well, that's it for this one. Are you gonna grab Proton Pulse, or are you just gonna say forget about it? Let me know in the comments. As always, if you enjoyed, please hit that thumbs up. And if you want to stay up to date on everything PlayStation VR and don't mind looking at this ugly mug, friggin' subscribe!